I am gaming. I am gaming. I am gaming podcast.
Hi everyone, my name is Ivica. Thank you so much for being on the latest episode of I'm Gaming Podcast, a podcast about the video game industry, entrepreneurship, and gaming nostalgia, among many other cool things I find to be in the same realm of creative, business, and every other kind of venture. This is episode 61 and it's called Simple But Working Wins Over Complex Idea Every Time. And I'm going to explain why I believe that every time you're creating a project, whatever it might be, simple should always win over complex, and the simple concept you have can be translated into a workable project. Before we get into that, I have a huge thanks to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you, this podcast would not be possible, and I'm super grateful for each and every one of you. I have a new Patreon supporter, which is Simply Games, a really cool indie developer who is creating amazing, simple but fun apps, mobile games. Check out Simple Games and all the rest of my supporters in the link in the description below, and their links in the description below. They'll take you to their pages, their games, their YouTube, Twitch streams, and everything else. They're really cool people, and again, thank you to each and every one of you, because you're making I'm Gaming Podcast possible every week of the year. Now, the topic, and it might not seem that way to many people, especially those who have big dreams and want to create huge things. Complex is always, in my view, second best to simple, because often, if not always, the thing that will sink your project is the inability of you or your team, of everyone else, to translate an idea into a workable reality. That moment when things from a mind or a design document become reality is actually pretty demanding. Usually, things on paper seem a lot simpler than they really are. Adding features, for example, to a game sounds like fun and something that players will enjoy as well. However, very few, if any, can perceive the process that will come with each of those features. Instead, they simply blend with the original idea, because a lot of the elements that will go into that creation process kind of get left behind in your mental appreciation of the whole segment after segment after segment that will eventually end up as the finished product. Because of that, I think it's a much safer and more secure means of creating whatever you might be building, to just keep it simple but workable. Players will enjoy a game even if it misses a feature you originally intended to add. As long as it's workable, it's always winning over anything that's still on paper, still on the project level. Because complexity is great if it can be translated into a workable setup. If not, it's nothing but a narrative that you're placing along with the process, along with the project, along with the finished product, which is not accessible to the end users. And it's all about end users. Otherwise, you have to create art, which can be as complex, as different, as divergent as you want it to be, but you don't have any requirements or desires from your end users. Instead, you simply have an idea and you translate it into some kind of reality. That reality doesn't have to be accessible. However, that's art. If you have projects that have to have end users, and these end users have to have some kind of an experience, unified experience, you need to understand how they think and what they want. And they want things that are workable. They don't want to see grand schemes that didn't come to any kind of meaningful end. We can say that some want even that. They want to see glorious failures, but most simply want to see a workable end product. That applies to content creation, video games, any other project you might have or consider creating. This is why simple and working is the end goal you're looking to get in every instance. And complex idea is just that, an idea. It's complex, it's different, it might sound unique, it might sound really exciting, but if it's not workable, the complexity means nothing. It's just a supportive narrative that is invisible to everyone else, especially when it comes to the actual experience of using or enjoying or consuming that product. So, for your future projects, always consider, is my idea simple and working, simple and set on very solid foundations of actual application of that idea, of that project into a finished product? Is it a complex idea that doesn't have a solid foundation or doesn't seem to have a solid foundation? In that case, the first option should win always and in any circumstance. That's all for the latest episode of I'm Gaming Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully this was interesting and eye-opening for you. Okay, it wasn't probably eye-opening, but at least it gave you some interesting thinking points that you can use for your future projects as well. If you're a first-time listener, please check out the rest of my channel and consider subscribing. Your sub would mean a lot to me. Of course, you can also check out my Patreon page and consider supporting me there as well. Every buck counts and I would appreciate your as well. Also check out the books that I have published. They are also in the link in the description below. Most precisely, I'm thinking about my book The Pursuit of Micro Success, which talks about creating small but sustainable business ventures, especially online as a single person ventures. So give that a look. And that's all for me. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope I'll see you on my next episode. Until then, have a great week and bye bye.